5 bizarre events you won't believe happened on May 27th. From a tragic school bus disaster to one of history's strangest executions, here are 5 bizarre events that happened on this day. Number 5. 30 Jews in Hungary were bizarrely executed for performing blood rituals. On May 27, 1944, 30 Hungarian Jews were reportedly taken out into the street and shot for allegedly dipping their bread in blood as part of a satanic ritual. The incident took place in the village of Wartime, which is located between Budapest and Miskolc. Those who were killed included men, women, and children. They were accused of using the blood of Christian children in their rituals, and it was alleged they had kidnapped several children for this very purpose. However, there is no evidence any of this actually took place. The villagers simply believed it must be true because some of the Jews had been seen with blood on their clothes. In reality, the blood was likely from animals the Jews had slaughtered for Passover. Despite this, they were arrested and taken to a football pitch where they were forced to dig their own graves. They were then shot and buried in mass graves near the town. While we may never know exactly what happened in Wartime all those years ago, similar events unfolded across Europe during the Holocaust. In fact, similar accusations had already been made against Jews in Poland, Russia, and France, leading to many being imprisoned or murdered. One of the most infamous cases involved the ritual murder of a Christian child named Simon of Trent in northern Italy. He disappeared in 1475, and some claimed he'd been kidnapped by local Jews and used in a blood ritual. Despite a lack of evidence, several Jews were tortured and executed for his murder. Number 4. The world's most famous bridge opened to pedestrians. The Golden Gate Bridge opened to the public on May 27, 1937. Stretching more than 8,180 feet across the strait that links San Francisco Bay with the Pacific Ocean, it remains one of the most iconic bridges in the world. At the time it was built, it was also one of the longest suspension bridges in the world. But it wasn't just its length that made it so special. Engineers at the time had to overcome several problems when designing the bridge. Fog was one of their biggest concerns, but they overcame this by building 2 massive towers to hold the main cables. This meant ships could pass underneath. Of course, the construction of the bridge wasn't without its problems. More than 100 workers lost their lives due to falls, being crushed or electrocuted while working on it. But despite the danger, work continued until it was finally completed 6 years later. Around 20 million people visited the bridge during the first year it was open, and today, around 100 million vehicles cross it each year. Number 3. A miracle happened at Dunkirk. On May 27, 1940, the evacuation of Allied soldiers from the beaches of Dunkirk began. This event has since gone down in history as one of the greatest disasters of World War II. It all started when German forces pushed the British Expeditionary Force and other Allied troops back towards the coast. As the Germans closed in, thousands of British, French, Belgian, and Canadian soldiers were trapped on the beaches. With their backs against the sea and nowhere else to go, it seemed like the end for many of them. But then something miraculous happened. Hundreds of small boats set sail from England to rescue the stranded soldiers. These were privately owned fishing boats, pleasure boats, and even the royal yachts. Between May and June, around 338,000 Allied troops were rescued. However, almost 40,000 were left behind. Some had refused to leave. Others couldn't be rescued due to bad weather or mechanical failures. Tragically, many of those who were rescued suffered from severe trauma. Some had witnessed their best friends and family members being killed. Others had been wounded or injured in some way. But despite the tragedy, the evacuation of Dunkirk is still regarded as one of the most heroic events of World War II. Number 2. Someone invented masking tape. On May 27, 1930, a Minnesota-based engineer named Richard Drew invented masking tape. He was an employee of 3M at the time, and the invention would soon become one of the company's most popular products. While it might seem odd to think that someone could invent such a simple thing as masking tape, it was actually quite a difficult process. Richard had tried and failed many times before finally coming up with a product that worked. His first attempts at creating a flexible adhesive tape had failed because the materials he was using were either too brittle or too weak. But after experimenting with different materials, he finally created a tape that was strong enough to hold objects in place while also being flexible. He initially patented the idea as a way to help painters apply paint to cars more easily, but it quickly became apparent that it had many other uses. In fact, the tape was so versatile it could be used for countless different purposes. And so masking tape was born. Today, billions of rolls of masking tape are sold around the world every single year. It comes in various colors and is used for everything from arts and crafts projects to home improvement jobs to industrial processes. Richard Drew received numerous patents for improvements to the original design, and he continued to work at 3M until he retired. He passed away in 1985, but his invention lives on. Number 1. 33 people were killed when a bus plunged off a cliff. On May 27, 1975, a school bus carrying 65 children crashed into a dry ski slope on the side of a hill. The bus then plunged 250 feet before hitting a tree, killing 33 of the children on board. The crash is now known as the Lake District bus disaster and remains the worst road accident in British history. The bus was traveling along the A591 road in Cumbria when suddenly the brakes failed. The driver tried his best to keep control of the vehicle, but eventually it went off the road and fell down the embankment. Many of the children on board were in their school uniform. They'd been returning from a trip to a local farm when the accident occurred. Emergency services rushed to the scene, but sadly, 33 children were pronounced dead at the scene. A further 19 were taken to hospital where they received treatment for serious injuries. An investigation was launched to determine what caused the crash. It wasn't long before it was discovered the brake failure was due to someone tampering with the brakes the night before. However, the person responsible was never identified. Even stranger was the fact that the driver had been warned about his braking system just hours before the fatal crash. Another bus driver had reported the vehicle was having problems slowing down, but for some reason this had not been fixed. To this day, it's unclear why the driver didn't pull over when he heard the warning. Perhaps he assumed the problem wasn't serious, or maybe he panicked and didn't know what to do. Whatever the truth, his decision cost the lives of 33 children. Now, it's time to share your thoughts. What's the strangest thing that's ever happened to you? Please write your thoughts in the comments section below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more amazing content.